Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I'm Maryam, an internal medicine trainee who joined a UK medical practice through the PLAB pathway. In today's video, I will be discussing how to prepare for PLAB 2. PLAB 2 is the second part of the UK medical licensing exam. From early 2024, it will be replaced by UK MLA. In the previous video, I've explained more about PLAB 2, which you can find from the link up there. PLAB 2 preparation needs a bit more explanation, so today's video will be dedicated to only one aspect of it. The first question that comes up in PLAB 2 preparation is, do I need to attend an academy or a course to pass PLAB 2? Although difficult, but the short answer is no. You might think that the exam is so expensive, why not to spend some money when I can get some help? Which is reasonable if you don't mind spending. But let's break it down and find out the benefits of academies, and if you choose not to do it, what are the alternatives and what did I do? And at the end, I will discuss a few myths regarding the academies. What I am talking about is the conventional academies that have been there for a while and offer proper in-person course, own an examination room with mannequins and hold mock exams. I classified the benefits in 6 categories. So let's start. By attending a course or an academy, you will be given handouts. There are usually 2 different types of it, either notes that you can read up or a scenario script. The notes section could be useful if it's concise, so that you could use it for revision. It's usually helpful for the management part. You might receive communication notes, which could be useful if you pick a few phrases and stick to them and practice them until you don't sound fake. Otherwise, not a big fan of them. Having the scenario script is a double-edged sword because you can have an idea of different types of scenarios and how the scenario flows and how you could possibly approach the station. But at the same time, predisposes you to memorize the script, which is literally a leading cause of PLAB 2 failure. Some might wonder, should I sign up to different academies to get the notes? No, all the academy notes are fairly the same because they know the exam structure. Also, the number of stations is increasing day by day, so it will be very time consuming to go through different notes. Although I'm not denying that each academy might have different details in their script included, but again, since we're not memorizing the notes, we don't care. One of my friends was in a different academy, so when we practiced together, we compared the scripts, which were fairly similar. Some might argue that there are different academy notes all over the internet. Why to pay for it at all? And I would say this is you deciding on how you want to respect their copyright, although I'm not saying what is right or wrong here. But if you didn't get into an academy, it is your call to practice with someone who joined an academy and practice scenarios with them, or practice using free online material. In terms of online material, what I found the most useful is nice clinical judgment summaries. Search a topic from A to Z, for example, asthma. You'd get different scenarios like what if it is a newly diagnosed asthma, or follow-up, or acute exacerbation. You could also read about asthma background. Sometimes you need to explain a disease or a procedure to a patient, which NHS website is literally a savior. Simply search whatever you need to explain. For example, I search gastroscopy, and ta-da! It is a test to check inside your throat, foot pipe, esophagus, and stomach, known as the upper part of your digestive system. Besides that, the common questions that a patient might have is also included in this article. Isn't that fabulous? You can use the PLAB blueprint from the GMC website, and you can read about all the topics using the NHS website. That is how you can predict questions and avoid medical jargons. Initially, when I started practicing, I was just all about the academy notes. When I found those treasures, I literally stopped going through the scripts. Moving on to the second benefit of academies. Some doctors are coming from countries that medicine is not practiced how it is in the UK. Academy is a good start point on getting used to UK medical practice. How to take a history, how to examine a patient, or how to do an ABG is pretty basic for a doctor, but how to communicate during these stations is crucial. Some IMGs might find interpersonal skills challenging. Things like how to be an active listener, how to break bad news, how to involve a patient in management and decision making, or how to deal with relatives. Although academies are not optimal, but they are good places to start working on interpersonal skills. There are a range of doctors from different backgrounds and academy tutors who could all be very helpful on giving you feedbacks. But again, if you decide not to attend an academy, there are multiple sources you can practice these skills. And to be honest, you would use these resources even if you are attending an academy. Using the GMC website, you can have an idea of possible communication skills you are expected to get. Start off by searching on YouTube. For example, on the topic of Breaking Bad news, numerous videos are available. Number one resource is the Geeky Medics website. Academy would not change your interpersonal skills unless you practice yourself. You could also write down helpful phrases that can help with your conversation fluency and try to use them every time you practice so you get to the habit of using them. Moving on, number 3. You could find study partners when you attend an academy. Having a good study partner is fundamental in preparing for PLAB 2. Usually doctors attending your cohort have a fairly similar exam date, so they are the best for buddying up. Avoid those with exams far ahead unless they are very keen to practice. Preferably choose someone who does not speak the same language, although you have already proved your knowledge of English, but again, talking all day in English is a bit different. Imagine you're not attending any academy. Join the IMG Facebook group, join the 1,000 PLAB groups in Facebook, join hundreds of Telegram PLAB groups, join as many as you can initially until you find the good group or find great study partners. These days, it's not too difficult to find peers. Simply, you could just write down in this video's comment section to find a partner. I had about 4 stable study partners that found 2 of them in random groups and 2 of them from academy. We even ended up booking same Airbnb for our stay in Manchester. Next is number 4. Conventional academies have examination and practical procedures facilities. It doesn't mean that you don't score well if you don't do it, but it's definitely easier when you can practice on actual mannequins that might come up in the exam. Some of the academies also have the sim man, although I've never heard someone freely going to practice on a sim man as they're very expensive. They also offer notes for these stations as well, which I barely use. The practical procedures facilities are not usually as you'd expect. Like, you should pay to get a cannula and a tegaderm, or the urinary catheters are not sterile, obviously. Sometimes even the mannequins are torn apart. Imagine you're not attending an academy. Oh, disaster. Mate, come on. You are a doctor. You have examined a pregnant abdomen, breast, or otoscopic examination. You don't need to have a mannequin. All you need is to practice the steps. I used Geeky Medics again. They have blogs written down, a step-by-step guide and YouTube videos. For procedural skills, make sure to practice the way you should do it in the exam if you're actually working as a doctor anywhere. So in Iran, doctors don't do cannulas and bloods. So I learned it from our lovely nurses back home and practiced in academy for a few times. List of my worries is benefit number 5. Usually academies offer a space for practice. So if you're someone who needs in-person practice, these spaces are great. They sometimes offer complimentary tea and coffee, which is convenient. You can sometimes book examination room, do practice practical and examination stations too. This was the least of my problems because I practice online most of the time, although not too bad to have a few practice days in person. But again, you can go anywhere. Last but not least is the mock exam. Different academies have different policies, but mock exams are usually included in your package. You get 1 or 2 mock tests. Reflecting on how my mock test was, it was much better than expected. The examiners are usually fellow IMGs who have just very recently passed their PLAB 2 exam, or sometimes you might get more experienced mock examiners. It's just your luck. The simulation is great because you'd realize how you switch to autopilot and how the adrenaline rush helps you get through the stations one by one and not even feeling tired. But to be honest, the feedback you would receive might not accurately reflect how you would actually score on a day. Again, it depends on your examiner. I had 4 examiners in each mock. First mock, 2 of them gave me great feedback, whereas the other 2 barely listened to what I was saying. If you decide not to go to academy, yet there are some academies allowing you to pay only for the mock test. Or you could simply go around groups and see if there's anyone doing mocks. Sometimes people do free mock sessions, but usually it comes with a charge. What I did was doing a few single station free mock scenarios, 2 in-person academy mocks and a paid 5 station mock, which they just boosted my confidence. The whole idea of mock tests is to prove yourself that you're good and give you the confidence for the exam. I don't recommend doing any mock tests before being fully prepared. So these were the 6 reasons you could benefit from going to an academy for your PLAB 2. But as you've noticed, there are very feasible alternatives that you'd better use them anyway. So why to pay for an academy? Just in case. So imagine you decide to go to an academy. Which academy to choose? My PLAB 2 was about 2 years ago, and even then there were many courses and academies. Not sponsored by any of them, but to name a few: Common Stations, iMedic, Samson, Dr. Swami, Aspire, and many new ones that I'm not even aware of. To be honest, all sound fairly the same to me. They usually have open days, which they discuss why you should choose them, but again, don't be picky. Factors you should consider is if it's possible to have hybrid sessions, and if they allow you to attend the course again if you need to. Consider the academy location, so if you decide to attend in person, you have to pay for the accommodation or your travel to the academy, but most of them are in Manchester, but there are London options as well. When is the best timing for academy? If you decide to go to an academy, do it about 3 months before your exam. Sooner might not be that useful, and later you don't have enough time to prepare. And how much they cost? It varies. Back then I paid £600, but you can find cheaper options as well. They usually have group discounts too, so ask around. Now let's discuss common myths about academies. Academies will sponsor your visa. No. We even had visa refusal cases by even mentioning the name of the academy. It's different case by case, but make sure not to mention academy as the only reason for travelling to the UK. Your main reason for travelling to the UK is to do PLAB 2 exam. Next myth. Academies give you free accommodation. Obviously not. Accommodations are usually available in some of them, but for a separate charge, which unfortunately they're not usually the best. Third myth. My friend attended the academy and passed. It means that the academy is great. Or my friend attended the academy and failed, meaning that the academy is rubbish. No, fail or pass depends only on how you practice. There will always be people very satisfied with the academy because they have practiced enough and used academy as a supporting source and not relied solely on academy. This video has become much longer than expected. I'm hoping it helps you deciding whether you want to go for an academy or no, because back then I had trouble finding honest reviews. In the next video I will try to map out what to study for each domain and where to begin. Hope you've all enjoyed this video, and share if you found it helpful.